Hi everybody, my name is Cheri. Welcome to my stamp studio. I'm excited to show you today's project. It turned out really well. At first I was a little frustrated with it, and then I kept going and I got it just where I liked it. Don't you like when that happens? So I'm going to be using things that are part of my online card club. I'm going to use Delicate Pines and Branching Out. So we'll talk about those a little bit as we go. But I did want to show you some of the projects that I have used with both of those things. So this card right here has the Branching Out paper, but it has, now I can't remember what the stamp set's called. Maybe 4 Unto Us. I can't remember, but it has that. This one right here has the same stamp set, but this uses not the paper, from this month, but the paper from last month or September. So if you're in Card Club, you will have this paper as well, but it uses the dies from Branching Out. Then this uses Branching Out. So this has the stamps and the dies both from that suite. And then this I have posted, and it uses, this one is from Branching Out. Everything else, my ribbon's slipping. Need to add some more adhesive. This must be the one that I did on camera. If you watch that video, I didn't add a lot of glue. I was trying to get it to stick enough that I could move on to next steps. But this uses the velvet paper. It uses this die from Branching Out, and then the rest of the dies and the stamps for this one are part of Delicate Pines. This is another add-on. So if you go watch this video, then you will see why my ribbon's falling off, but that can easily be fixed. But you'll learn all about my online card club. So it's a subscription service. There's tons of perks. If you're a member of my team, then they have the option. They can also buy the packets just like everybody else. But all my team members get all of the videos every month for free. And that's one of the perks, because right now Stampin' Up! Has a fabulous sign-up offer. So go check that out if you haven't seen that. I'm trying to get through this. I have some bread in the oven and I need to be done when the timer goes off. So here's the Branching Out, and here's the Delicate Pines. Today we are going to use the paper from the Elegant Pine Snowflake Suite, and I'm going to use a couple of the dies. Then we're using a lot of dies from Branching Out, and the sentiment is from Branching Out, because this suite of products with this added on, they don't have to just be Christmas cards. So in Card Club, you'll really buy the sentiment that you choose. You can make it Christmas, or I think today's would be a lovely wedding card. If you have a December, January, February wedding, it would be beautiful. So that's what I'm going to use today. I've already done most of the die cutting because I was able to die cut it while I was waiting for my bread to finish rising. So I have some Pretty Peacock for our card base. And then I'm just going to show you which suite the two items come from, especially if you're in Card Club and you don't want to get both. It'll kind of help you maybe decide, but they both work so well together. So this is Pretty Peacock. Then I have taken this sheet of paper here, which is from the Elegant Pines, and I have run the Branching Out die through it. So we are going to take the frame part of it. I'm going to stick this to the card. So when I designed the card, it was the other way. I was going to have it on this way, and I was going to stamp on this little flippy part. Remember I said, plus I have a lot to do today. I think sometimes when I try to create and I have stuff to do, it doesn't work so well. So put this on. Always, my biggest tip that I can always give you is do not press until you know that it's lined up, because it's easier to pick up if you do that and you're like, oh, that's not the right spot. I see so many people when I do classes and stuff, they press it all on and then they look at it and they're like, oh, that's not right. It's so much harder to get up. So here is our border, and then we're going to flip this over and we are going to build our little tag on this. So we have, put this here. Let's start with some ribbon. And I'm going to use the ribbon 2 ways, which I'm sure if you've seen on the video. And I'm going to do this a little bit different because I added the ribbon. So I'm going to put a piece here. And instead of having a little bow at the top, I'm just going to add some pieces like that, so it's a little flatter. Then I'm going to take this. This is really what makes this card super stand out. So I'm going to lay it here. If you want, you can add a little bit of adhesive under it to hold it in place. I didn't find that it needed that. I'm going to use my Whisper White. I think you could use Versamark as well, but remember I said my card went through changes? This was one. So I was originally I was stamping in copper to match some of the die cuts. So I'm just going to stamp this on here. You want to give it, don't press too hard, don't rock it. Just let the ribbon have a little bit of time to absorb it. And then pull it up. So you could leave it like that and you can read it. I know on camera it's probably hard to read it, but you can read it. So you can leave it like that if you want. Because I wasn't even sure if this was going to work, so I thought I might have to leave it. I'm going to do it like this. Pop this in here. And I'm going to add a light touch of this. If you watch me very often, you know I like to dump the whole thing on whatever and just pour it back in. But because I don't want to have to mess with a lot of this, sticking it to my ribbon, just pop that on there and then flip this over. So it looked like this, and I was like, well, that didn't work. So, but I didn't want to just throw that in the trash like that. So I took my bone folder, just like we would if it was paper, and I just started hitting the back. And then I did find, because I was just trying to get it off to throw it away, if you hit it and kind of lay it down, then look, it comes right off. So it has a little bit of flex, which on paper might drive me crazy. But two things on this, there's one right where it says day. I'm trying to see through. Because it's a snowflake paper, if there's little bits and bobs everywhere, it just looks like snow, right? At least we'll tell ourselves that. If you use the white. So try to knock all the rest of that off. And then I'm going to just move this out of the way. So I did it on the paper first. You are going to need something heat resistant, so this is why I have this here. A couple of tips. You don't want this to keep flipping over, so I'm going to hold it with my bone folder. I want to get my heat tool hot before I put it on there, so it's not spending a lot of time on the ribbon. You know, sometimes we curl our ribbon, and I don't want this ribbon to curl. So let this get hot just for a second. And then once it's hot, just hold it in one spot till it melts that, and you'll see it go brighter white. And then it's important once it melts to stop, otherwise it will go flat and it will pretty much look the same way it did when you started. So you would have done all that for nothing. So it's pretty. I think it adds a lot to a special card. Another tip I had for you that I didn't do was you should start a little bit further over. This ribbon does have a tendency to fray. Especially because this is not my sharpest pair of snips. I'm going to cut this off real careful right here. Once it's glued to the card, it won't fray anymore. But if you give yourself a little bit more room, then you'll have that to work with. So if you are in Card Club, I don't know if I said this, this isn't your bonus project, but you'll have everything that you need that you could easily make it. So, oops, I need this piece. So this is where I added this at the end last time. And so it's not as tucked under as I would like it to be. Put this here. The ribbon's not hot or anything, which is nice. And then I'm going to add this Seal Plus. Holds the ribbon well, but it does not stick to the ribbon well, so it won't stick on the paper. I'm going to kind of hold this there. See that I'm going to have to trim these when I'm done, and I do have some better scissors, just not where I can reach them. So when you see the picture, they will have been trimmed. It's not a ribbon that we necessarily want to fray. I'm going to go this way with it. Okay, so now let's start building with our pieces. These right here are all from the delicate snowflakes, delicate pine snowflakes. You can see it is a snowflake that you can make out of pine, which was where I started with it. But then as I started going, I was like, I just want this to be greenery. So when you do it this way, it gives you lots of pieces of greenery with just one cut, because all of these are included in the die set. I ran all the dies through all the pieces with one pass, except for the frame, because that takes up almost the whole plate. Let me pop these little middle bits out. Okay, so remember I told you this didn't start the way I wanted. So in my other one, it was a snowflake and I kind of pulled it apart. This time I'm not going to even start with a snowflake. We're just going to arrange them how we like. I'm going to go ahead and stick it on my card. So another tip for you, I want to be able to tuck at least one thing underneath there. So don't stick your, I know I want to stick it here. I'm going to make sure this one goes kind of far down. Otherwise, sometimes you stick so many dimensionals on and then you want to tuck something underneath, and exactly where you want to tuck it is where your piece hits it. But you can trim them. There's things you can do, but if you just know where you're going to stick it and you don't put it right there, it helps. So let's put this in. Again, remember you're not going to push hard until you make sure that it is where you want. Yeah, it's a good thing I did that. I might have gone too low with this whole design. Would have been faster for me to go get my better scissors. I'm going to use glue for this, so not going to be able to move it around, but we'll be okay. So these will go up a little bit more than my other ones did because, like I said, I had started it as a snowflake and it was already glued together and I wasn't cutting more to waste them. Oh, I poked all those out, look, and they all just stayed in their little spot. If you wanted them to stay, they wouldn't stay. And then these, I'm going to try leaving them whole. Because they're whole on my other one. You want to make sure you don't cover up your sentiment. This one I'm going to cut in half so I can get it in two different spots. You have to be careful when you're gluing stuff on top of ribbon that you put enough glue, because the glue can just soak right into the ribbon. So that looks good. Now that we have all that was from the Delicate Snowflakes, and then this uses, not everything fell out when I pulled it off the plate, the glimmer paper, the Peaceful Garden glimmer paper. So then over here we have the red velvet paper, and these are all from the Branching Out. And then we have a pine, and I did it just out of Mossy Meadow regular cardstock. That's the only thing. This is the earthen cardstock that's part of the Autumn Toile Suite, and it's the only regular piece of cardstock in this little thing. And another little pine cone, which is part of Branching Out. And then this is the white velvet paper, and those are from Branching Out. Oh, I dropped them. So let's do, I took my white stamp pad. This is why my white pad was already on the table. And I just kind of laid the tips, which I got that idea from my frosted card that I showed you before. And this is the one that you're going to tuck behind. So for it, so you have to make sure that it's not going to hit a dimensional, because it barely fits on there. In fact, here, let's do this. My other one is a little bit mounted higher, I guess. I'm going to cut these apart. So let's start over. That way I can get this. That one doesn't have any glue on it though. That would surely fall off as soon as I picked it up. There, that's a little better. Oops, I have glue on my hands. And now let's do this big pine cone. It's perfect for covering up this mess right here. Plus it will show some of the color through. And let's take our white leaves. And until all this dries, it will all keep moving around, but it'll all dry eventually. And then a little pine cone, which will cover up this spot right there. And then this was way too long, but I love it. So let's cut a long one and a short one. I'll do the long one right here. And then I'll do the short one. Up through here. So if you wanted to make Christmas cards like this, you might feel like it's taking a long time, but consider that you could do all of the die cutting and just have little stacks of everything and then move back to it. So let me get this lid on and then we will add our embellishments. So the ribbon and the embellishments are what come in Card Club this month. All part of that elegant snowflake. Elegant pine snowflake. It's a mouthful, isn't it? So you get these in Card Club, and these are the gems that are part of it. I have a few left from not Card Club, from Try It Glass that I'm still trying to use up. So let's do a couple of the red. This red really pops. Looks so pretty. And then let's do a couple of the silver. So that is 4. So I guess we will do 3 of the peacock. So the other piece of paper that I used, the snow, it wasn't quite as blizzardy, so the card looks a little bit different because it's got a little bit less. Isn't that pretty? Wouldn't that be a fabulous wedding card for especially somebody that was getting married right around Christmas? Which I love those. So here's this one, but see what I mean? It's not as blizzardy. So this one looks like, oh, it's a blizzard. This one looks a little bit more wintry. So you can see how I cut the snowflake apart a little bit right there to kind of spread it, but it looks better if you're just going to use it as greenery. But it's those snowflake pine things are great for getting a whole bunch of pine cut with one pass. So that's what I have for you today. I do have a box of new stuff that's coming. It hasn't gotten here yet today. I'll see if I have time to film it today. My son-in-law's parents are in from New York, so they're coming over for dinner. That's my bread in the oven. And I have to get an apple pie going soon, so I got to get to the kitchen. So if the box comes and it's in between cooking time, then I will be able to show it to you. Otherwise, I'll do it on Monday. Have a great one. Bye.